Hello guys and welcome to the latest episode of Mr. Oshodi's Snapchat Science. Now today what we want to look at is exchange system in plants. Now by the end of this video we want to be able to define the process of transpiration in plants. We then want to go on to explain the role of stomata in plants and in transpiration. And then lastly we want to go on to evaluate the role of stomata and how they control the optimum conditions required for transpiration. So let's get right into it. Now, thinking back to our previous biology lessons and our previous biology videos, we've looked at plants carrying out photosynthesis. For photosynthesis, as we all know, plants require carbon dioxide. Now, plants have got a really ingenious way of obtaining this carbon dioxide from the air. Now, if on the underside of a plant, they have these tiny microscopic holes, and these holes are known as stomata. Now, don't go to your local plant looking for the holes of stomata because they can't be seen with the naked eye. They can only be seen using a microscope. Now, the role of this stomata is to control the entering and leaving of gases. Don't forget, in photosynthesis, carbon dioxide will diffuse into the leaf, okay, via the stomata, and oxygen will diffuse out of the leaf via the stomata. However, today what we want to look at is how stomata also control the rate of transpiration. Now, stomata are controlled by these cells around the stomata, and these cells are known as guard cells. Guard cells control the opening of and closing of stomata. So let's look at how they do this. Now, think into massive 100-feet tall trees in a rainforest. Have you ever wondered how water goes from right down from the roots right up until the leaves where photosynthesis occurs? Let's look at how that occurs. Now, transpiration is the process in which plants continuously lose water into the air, okay? And that water loss happens at the leaves. Now, this process, as we said before, is known as transpiration. And that's a definition that you may need to know for your exam, although it will not be a very high marked question. Now, if we look at the rate of transpiration and how it's affected and what transpiration actually is, transpiration is the continuous loss of water, as we've previously said. Now, this could be due to the evaporation of water or simply water vapor being carried away by wind. Now let's look at how water vapor being carried away by wind or water evaporating, okay, can cause water movement from the roots right up until the leaves. Now, when water is lost to the surrounding air, what that causes is a difference and a change in the concentration gradient. And it then means that there is now a lower concentration of water in the leaves compared to where there is in the roots. And therefore what's going to happen is water is going to move via osmosis from a high concentration to a low concentration. So there will be a lower concentration of water in the leaves compared to the roots, and therefore water will move up the tree. Water is a very cohesive molecule, and therefore as water molecules move, it also takes other water molecules in with it. And that's how water is able to move hundreds of feet up, all the way up the tree, okay? And that process is controlled by transpiration. Now, this concentration gradient, this movement of water from the roots right up into the leaves, also causes root hair cells that you looked at in B2 to absorb water. Because what happens? At the roots, as the water moves from the roots to the leaves, okay, that maintains the concentration gradient, and it then means that there's a lower concentration of water in the roots compared to the soil. And because there's a high concentration of water in the soil, water molecules are then going to move from a high concentration in the soil to a low concentration in the roots. And there's that continuous movement of water molecules all the way up the tree, okay? And that's really important. And that's the process of transpiration. Water being lost from the leaves, and therefore causing a low concentration of water molecules in the leaves. Therefore water will move from the roots all the way up to the leaves. And that's that continuous movement that we're looking at today. Now, what we want to go on to look at is, in your exams, how might they ask you about transpiration? Now, if you're doing a higher paper, they may ask you about something called a potometer. Now, a potometer is simply a way of measuring the rate of transpiration in the classroom. So you may have apparatus set up like this, and quite simply, what you might do is change the conditions in which your plant is in and see whether that affects the rate of transpiration. Now, the way that you would do this is by looking at the air bubble, okay, that we have here. As you change the conditions, as the rate of transpiration increases or decreases, that will affect the movement of the bubble. So be aware of that in terms of your exam paper and how they could ask you an exam question based on transpiration. Now, what's really important for us to look at is the optimum conditions and what conditions actually affect the rate of transpiration. Now, there are four conditions you need to look at: light, temperature, wind, and humidity. So let's look at how they affect transpiration. So having lots and lots of light increases the rate of transpiration because the more light there is, the faster the rate of photosynthesis. And what that therefore means is because there's a faster rate of photosynthesis, more carbon dioxide is needed. So the stomata will open. Because these stomata are open, it therefore means that water vapor is lost via the stomata. Don't forget we said water vapor is lost via the stomata. The next one we want to look at is temperature. The higher the temperature, the faster the rate of transpiration, quite simply because evaporation and diffusion are faster at higher temperatures. Okay? Now let's look at how wind affects the process of transpiration. Now, the windier the conditions, the faster the rate of transpiration. And that's because as it's windy, water molecules or water vapor, which is around the leaf, is constantly being moved away from the leaf. And therefore, the water will always continually have that concentration gradient. And therefore, water molecules will move from a high concentration, which will be inside the leaf, to a low concentration, which will be in the surrounding air. Then as more wind blows past, more water vapor will be moved on, and that concentration gradient is maintained. The last thing we want to look at is humidity. The more humid it is, the slower the rate of transpiration. And that's because humidity is simply the amount of water molecules in the surrounding air. So if we look at our plant again, if this leaf is surrounded by lots and lots of water molecules, it then means that that concentration gradient is not maintained. Okay, so a plant in very humid conditions would not be in very windy conditions. Now, what I want you guys to look at is the guard cells. How do guard cells affect transpiration? Now, as we said, guard cells either open or close stomata. Now, if guard cells are open, okay, it means that the plant has lots and lots of water and therefore it can afford to lose water. However, plants which are suffering from water loss or suffering from a deficiency of water, what they will do is these guard cells will close. They will close the stomata and essentially close the gateway to water loss. And therefore that's one way that plants reduce their water loss, by opening or closing their stomata. Now, what you guys can do is take this minute, to take 10 minutes to pause your video, okay, and to see if you can fill in the gaps in this very simple summary exercise, okay? Pause the video and see if you can fill in the gaps. Okay, so hopefully you paused the video. Now let's look at your possible answers. So guys, what you guys can do now is, again, pause your video and just use this slide to self-assess your work. So, hopefully by the end of this video, you are now able to define the process of transpiration, you're able to explain the role of stomata in transpiration, and you're lastly able to evaluate the optimum conditions required for transpiration. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and revise. Mr. Oshodi, signing out.